set up. I've got my bags of clay on the table, I've got my tools, I've got a couple of little things that I find around the house to add texture, so I've went for buttons and an Allen key. I've also got like a tin or anything that's round that you can use to flatten out the clay, okay, or maybe even just cut round it, so that's why I've got that. Now with regards to the tools, I get dead excited when I open something new, especially when it's to do with clay and ceramics. So I'm just going to show you what we've got this little comb tool here for, is to like cross hatch to make joints. So I'll show you that throughout the making process. You've got other things like this where it's for like smoothing edges. Got this little pointy one here for cutting, so it's easy to cut with. Again, for joining the two pieces together so that they're sturdy enough to stick and to not break. And you've also got things like this for like carving and smoothing down as well, okay? So yeah, that's the tools. You have plenty of tools to use. You can either pick one that you feel confident with, or you can try and use them all. It's all about expressing yourself today, enjoying, having a bit of fun, and also relaxing. So if you want, you can pause me, put on some music, pause me as many times as you like throughout the process. If you find that I'm going too fast, then you can always stop and pick it up at your own pace. And again, I would love you to interact with me on my social media pages. Show me what you're doing, how you find it. I will reply to each and every one of you that contact me, and I really want to see your pieces. So it's a little bit strange me doing this virtually, as you're not in a classroom environment and I can't guide you, see what you're doing and see your final piece, which is the biggest part of me teaching, that's the biggest part of me enjoying, okay? So let's get started. So what you're going to do is you're going to open the bags of clay. So don't worry, just rip them open, and if you can, recycle the plastic bags for something, or put them in the recycling, okay? So I'll give you 3 of these bags just so that you have got plenty of clay, okay? Now if you are starting to use it and it's starting to feel a little bit dry and it's cracking, then all you need to do is with your water, just add a little bit of water and massage it in. Now it will look like your hands are going to be all orange and it's never going to come off and stain, but whenever you're washing your hands, it does feel like you've just got loads of extra soap on them, okay? And it doesn't stain your hands or anything, okay? So just massage it in if it is a little bit tough, and again you'll see that it'll be really sticky and then it'll turn into like a more softer clay. And again, you can do this as much as you like throughout the process. So when it starts to get a little bit too dry, that's when you can't do it, okay? You've got to let it set then, and in 24 hours it will be pretty solid. You can paint it if you want, it's entirely up to you, but I quite like the colour of this when it dries. It looks like a terracotta flower pot. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this in the ball. I'm going to show you 2 different techniques here of doing this, okay? So the first one is like a pinch pot. So if you're not really confident in using this material, then this is the best one for you, okay? So what you do is you just roll it into a big ball. You can do this here, and it'll become a better shaped ball for you if you just like squeeze your hands out, your fingertips out, and just roll. Now whenever it's like this here, what you can do is you can just press your thumb in and just keep going round and round and round and round until you form your very own bowl, okay? So this is probably the oldest technique and the oldest form of pottery that has ever been out there, and it's just keep going round and round and round and just build up that wall. If you want, you can make an even bigger pot than this because you've got 3 bags of clay, so you could make a big ball and just slowly go round and round and round and make your little pot. Now you can take your time doing this, and you could spend hours doing it. It's entirely up to you, okay? Now really easy. So already you can see that it's shaping up to be a nice little pot. You would use your tools to kind of like thin this out. Like I can feel already that this is starting to get a little bit dry because of all of the lighting. You see like this here, cracking, so just add a bit of water. Smooth it out. And it's very, very durable, this stuff, when you're playing with it. And you're modelling and you're moulding. However, it is a little bit different than the kind of clay that I would use in my professional making, where we have to use like a kiln to fire it to 1,000 degrees first, so it goes as hard as what this will go whenever it dries, and then we will glaze it, so it would be like you painting this, but again then it goes back into the kiln to be fired so that you can use it as your cups or your plates and stuff like that. Now that is a completely different process, so if you were to like even make a cup from this kind of shit, you wouldn't really be able to drink from it because it would still be porous, so the tea and the coffee would drip out of it eventually, okay? So I wouldn't advise it. So if you are making something, make it for maybe like a flower pot, or for you to store like your earrings or your jewellery. Could even be something that you put on your desk for holding your pens. But again, I'm only showing you this technique. You can build it up and do whatever you want. Again, once you have it as a shape, as a small bowl, like if you were to use the 3 bags, it would be 3 times the size of this, okay? So, yeah, and I'm just going to show you this. So this is just an Allen key that I took out of a toolbox, and you can just press in. And just express yourself, making marks and textures. It should be something like that. You could even go where you press in a couple of buttons. To get your texture. So then, because I like that, I'm going to go this side because I have done the same kind of pattern on that other side of it. So you could do that where you've got one, your buttons, one your Allen key, then your buttons, then your Allen key, then your buttons, and make it nice and round. And that there's a nice little pinch pot, okay? So I'm going to add some water to this so that I can mix it up. Now this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tin that I brought up, and I'm going to roll this out nice and neat so I can cut around it to make like the best circle that I possibly can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll out another bit of clay, and I'm going to like wrap it round so I'm building a wall. And this has got a little bit more technique to it, okay? So I'd say with the amount of water that I've applied to that, then I should be able to get a decent enough roll. So again, with this, the tin's got grooves in it. I'm not really that bothered because I can easily just smooth it out with my fingers. But it's about getting a nice consistency all round so that whenever it dries, it's not like a bigger bit and a smaller bit. So the smaller bit, the moisture will come out a lot quicker, and the bigger bit will hold more moisture in, so you've got more chance of it cracking, okay, when it's drying. So we want it to be as pretty much as smooth as we possibly can, okay? Now again, I'm kind of trying to show you as many little techniques as possible, not bog you down with too many techniques, and it is solely just to show you the making process and the tips, so that you can go away and create your own fantastic piece of pottery and be proud of it and show us all through my social media, okay? So again, I've measured it, which it seems to be round, and there's quite a bit of excess. So what I'll do is I'll use my wee tool and just cut round. And again, it doesn't have to be perfectly cut or a perfect circle. You could do a square if you wanted and join the 4 walls, but with this is pretty much the easiest way to follow to make, okay? So again, just take this off. there you go, there's a complete circle. And what we'll do is we'll just nice and gently take it off the plate. And leave it there for a little bit. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to open a new bag. I'm just going to try and roll this out so that it stretches round. And again, you'll see that with it being on the plate, it's not going to go around the whole way. You can stretch it if you wanted this way, as long as you're trying to get it. But again, the more time that you spend in this, the better your pot will be. So I'm going to get rid of that plate for this one and use my trusty pottery board just so I can roll this out a little bit more for you. Right. And if you need to, you can always use the other bag and roll out both of them together if you want the walls a little bit thicker, but I quite like having thin walls on my pots. It gives it more of a professional feel whenever you're lifting it, as it's light on the touch. So again, with this, the way it's been squished and it's been a little bit wavy, if you get your cutting tool, just nice and easy. If you need to, get a ruler. I quite like this shape here for the top of my vase. This is so that I can join it to here. And what you'll want to do is to join it, you will cut it, slice it, not too much. You see that I'm not going too far into the clay, but I'm just making like wee grooves in it. And then I'll cross hatch it again this side. And I'll also do it the whole way around this here as well, okay? So that you can see. And what will happen is you'll add a little bit of water to the two bits that you're sticking together, and it should bond pretty well like glue. This doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's not too deep where it's cutting through and it's not so big where it's not going to join right. Okay, so a little bit of water, rub it round. The same here. Now before I join it, I want to put like a little bit of texture on this. So I was sneaky, I got 3 different tools. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the fork in it, down the side. Now I'm only showing you these techniques, you can play about, do whatever you would like yourselves. And then I will go with this. I'll come down along where the marks are, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Same this side. I'm missing a wee bit there, though. Squeeze that there, squeeze that there. With the buttons, so again, this can be anything with texture, as long as you're not pressing in too hard that you can't get it out. And with this, like even doing that to me is so therapeutic. I enjoy the process of mark making, and I know it doesn't look like much now. As soon as I go to build this wall, and I get it nice and neat, just use your fingers for this. Just make sure that the actual walls are touching the bottom of the pot, and again, whenever it comes to joining the wall, you'll do the exact same. So I'll turn it round this way so that you can see. Add a little bit of water. Just score it a little bit. And the same this side. And use your fingers and just squish it together. Turn it in as well. Just bring the walls out a little bit. So don't worry too much at this stage. Inside, what I'm doing is I'm using my thumb and I'm just rubbing the clay back so that it's joining with the other wall. Again, if you want, you can put your hand out here at the front, use one of your tools and just press from this side across, or from this side across, and just keep doing both of them until the actual line in the inside of the pot is actually joined and you can't actually see it anymore, okay? Now what I'll do is once I've got this little bit done, I'll turn it up so that you can see inside, okay? Now I quite like the way that it's not really joined at the top here. There's like a wee lip to go with the rim of my pot. So again, I know that you can see here that like it's not actually perfectly round on the walls, but that's okay because you can tailor it, you can cut it. Well, again, whenever you're using like your smoothing tool for inside, and what you're going to do is, because for me this pot I've made pretty small, I can't really get my hand in to smooth it round. So I've got this little tool here, which means that I can get into the bottom of the pot easily, and I can like smooth it round. So I'm just like making like a whirlpool type kind of motion where it's just going round and it's smoothing off the bottom, so I can't see any real lines from where the join was. And for this, if this is your first pot, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes the nicest pieces that you'll make is the pieces that you have been creative with and you've made mistakes. And as an artist, it's about judging what mistakes work well and what pieces are actually art and what pieces are not. So it's all about judging how nice this is. So again, around the outside I'm doing the exact same. I'm just starting to smooth it. Join. Now I am working pretty fast at this because I do it every day. I don't make little pots like this, but again, it's all of the same techniques that I would use in my everyday work that I'm showing you here today, okay? So whenever I'm happy with, I can't really see that join line, then what I'll do is I will go around and carve off any excess clay like here. So just follow the wall and just cut it off. Because I really like textures and tones within my work, but there's a little pot there that I would be really happy with. quite nice, not too much. Again, just to finish off at this side here, what I would do is just to neaten this up, see where there's not much texture from the buttons. Go back in on the fork and just make a few wee lines so it ties in, and maybe again along the bottom. And there we have it. We have a little pot for my pottery tools. Now with that, maybe you don't really want to be doing so much texture and you want to add things on. So again, most things, most sculptures or most add-ons, they come in either two shapes to start off with. You've got your round ball, or your rolled sausage shape. So with the rolled sausage shape, that would be like for adding arms or legs or thicker sausages for body pots when you're making sculptures of animals or figurines. Well, with the balls, there's a number of different things. So like the heads for the animals or the figurines, for making flowers, for adding on like different shapes, you would start off with these. So if you wanted to add like a flower, I would say just roll some clay. Depending on the size of the flower that you want, depends on the size of the balls. Okay, so the ball represents the petal, and what you would do is you would make a number of these. So say that you wanted, like, say 6 petals or 12 petals. I'm just going to go for 6 just to show you as an example. Okay. So again, with the balls, you don't have to be perfect. Every petal isn't really the same. There's always a variety or a difference in them. Okay. So what you would do is you would just off-center your finger in the ball, and just press down, and then what you've got is and again, some of these petals will be better than others, but again, it's about you picking which one's best. And if it's not good, you can always re-roll it as a ball with a bit of water. Now with this, what you would do is you would pick these up gently, because at this side it's thick and at this side it's thin. And like I said earlier on about the thickness and thinness, with this, because it's such a small piece, then it's kind of fine. It's when you get to bigger bits like this is where the issue of cracking and stuff would come. Again, what we'll do is we'll just roll it at the bottom, nip it, start to look like a petal. You do the same again here. Look, that's all I'm doing. And the next minute you just join them. You can add a little bit of water in between. I think it might be best for this because it's been worked with it a little bit. Again, you see. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but the little cracks you can always smooth it off with the water. And if you want, the petals can get bigger and bigger as you get further and further away from the center. This would be the same if you were to try and make like a rose or anything like that, okay? And what you would do is you would just, nice and easy, like I've squished this a little bit too much, but again it still represents the flower. And I would just cut it from here so that you can stick it onto the pot, and I'll just add a little bit of water. I'm going to just stick mine here, so I'm going to put my thumb in the pot. I'm going to just squish it together so that it does stick. And then what I would do here is I would use this wee tool here so that I can get the clay from the flower to join to the vase. And just take your time and work around it. And if you really want, then you could go with putting some little bit in the middle, and there you go. There's a really quick flower. If you were to take your time and properly spend a couple of minutes on each ball rolling them, your flower would be 100 times better. So I've done this where you can see that I have taken a little bit of time, but again I've done it pretty quick. You can pause and watch where I've like scored and cross-hatched, and then come up with your own ideas, your own textures, your own colours. And again, after 24 hours, whenever this is dry, what you can do is you can use acrylic paint or something that you have around the house, whether it be nail varnish, and actually be more expressive than the making and paint it. I would actually love to see some of these painted. But yeah, that's what this whole workshop's been about. Is about you expressing yourself, about thinking outside the box, being really creative, de-stressing from the modern world, and creating your very own piece of pottery. So I really hope you enjoyed.